All right, so court is calling for a boycott of the 2017 election, and it's all to do with the IEBC strategic plan that was launched earlier last week. And to set the stage for that discussion that will be coming later, we'd like to first get our facts right with the IEBC Vice Chair, Lillian Mahira Zara. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking about the 5-year strategic plan, the pillars of it. Could you just go through that as briefly as you can? What to expect from the Commission in the next 5 years? It's not just about the general election, is it?
Yeah, it's just not about general election, but that is the focus. And thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come and explain and clear the air about the recent official launch. The 5-year strategic plan is 2015-2020, and it is anchored on 3 pillars. The first pillar is managing the elections, and here we are looking at various aspects from the last general election. We are looking at the legal reforms. We are looking at how we conduct the elections. Remember, we had 6 positions all in one day, so the processes, right from the way the voters we process the whole voting process from the polling station to the time we transmit results and announcement of results. The second pillar is about the institutional transformation, and this involves looking at the structures. Do the structures as they are, as IEBC is, support a process that is really effective for managing elections? So there are other processes such as communication that we are looking at under that pillar, and it's 2 ways, the internal processes as well as external. And thirdly, we also have the pillar on public participation. Remember, the Constitution is very clear about this principle. And it's just not about citizens who are key in the process. It's also about engaging them. How do we engage citizens? We have special interest groups. We are also looking at persons with special needs. There are people with disabilities. So that is also very critical to us. Under that pillar also we have engagement with political parties. And here we are also trying to see how political parties can be empowered participate effectively in the electoral process. And thirdly, we have other stakeholders. Remember, we have state actors and non-state actors who support the electoral process.
All right. So talking about political parties, you then had the meeting days before the launch, and some have questioned that and saying you're supposed to be an independent arbiter of the elections. In fact, you are an independent commission. Why would you then want to have consultations with political parties? And some say you then opened the door to court saying, but you did not take in our consultations because you invited them, you know, to hear their views, and then they then say, you know, you didn't take our views into consideration. Why would you want to engage political parties on what is essentially a strategic plan for your commission?
Yeah, we've had those concerns, and of course a strategic plan, as you know, is an internal document. In fact, we have explained that the strategic plan is a statutory document that is required under the Public Finance and Management Act, where the CEO is supposed to present it when we are preparing the MTEF process. But that said, remember, the Constitution requires public participation. So we also, as an institution that wants to be transparent, we want to engage parties and just to tell them what we are doing. We are looking at 2017. We want to work with all the stakeholders. So I know there are concerns that have been raised that we have invited all this on us, but we just want everybody to work with us and understand where we are heading. All right,
Lillian, what does work with you mean? Because does it mean then that you take in every suggestion? Because CORD apparently came there with 55 issues, none of which, according to them, were there. In fact, Raila Odinga is quoted as saying you reneged on a deal to postpone the launch until some of the issues they raised were addressed.
Let me first explain that when we say that IEBC invited, You know, I said it's in the spirit of public participation. And again, yes, we met the CORD leadership, and we did not see 55 issues. We had very fruitful deliberations a day before the launch. And what we discussed was that we will go back, retreat internally, and agree on whether to proceed or not with the launch. But we had made very many preparations for the launch, so we decided as a commission to proceed. However, we are extending an open invitation to all the political parties, to all the key players, to come in and give us comments. We had initially planned to launch the strategic plan on the 29th of June. However, because of the sentiments which were expressed by the political parties, we decided to postpone it, to allow them to come in and give their comments.
So you postponed it to allow them to
we
give
had already postponed it after our initial engagement with the party.
All right, so CORD is now calling for a boycott of the elections. What's your response to that?
Well, I also wish to respond and say that IEBC is accountable to the people of Kenya, and saying that, you know, we operate independently, we cannot really be saying we are independent of everybody else. We are accountable to the people of Kenya. CORD, yes, has called for the boycott of 2017 general election. I think that is of great concern to us, because we are saying, look here, the strategic plan is work in progress. It is not cast in stone as it is. We have said politics in Kenya are dynamic. Elections are dynamic.
So are you going to be calling CORD to the table to address their concerns?
And we agreed on that day. Yeah, we agreed on that day that we shall be calling them for further consultations. We have extended an open space for them and said, look here, the document, they have even said that we have not addressed issues of political parties. What we are inviting them to look into is to see where there are gaps. If they feel there are gaps which we have not addressed sufficiently, they are free to come.
Then you're willing to take in their consideration?
Yes,
All right. Madam Vice Chair, while we have you here, just very quickly, if you can, talk to us about the proposal to reduce the commission. And this has been fronted by the Speaker of the National Assembly, saying it's bloated. You have 9 commissioners. In fact, they say they're suggesting 3 commissioners, all of whom work part-time, taking a look at what's happening in India with 800 million plus voters and having 3 commissioners, only one of whom is full-time. What would you say to that about reducing the number of commissioners and strengthening the Secretariat? Some say you're bloated, and there's people, in fact, the Speaker was quoted as saying they work. What work?
Okay, first of all, we must say that this is a very healthy debate for the country at this point in time. And remember, the Constitution is clear. Constitutional commissions can have between 3 to 9 members. So as it is, the debate is good. Remember, even the first bill in 2011, the IEBC bill, had the same proposals, that probably the chairperson and the vice and 3 other commissioners could be appointed during the first year and serve part-time, though the chairman could be executive. And then the other commissioners would come in after 1 year and also serve part-time. Well, those were proposals that were trashed in Naivasha, and this is why now, during that time, the political expediency of the day dictated that we have a 9-member commission. Things can change. Elections and politics are dynamic, so things can change, and I would say that that debate is healthy. In terms of comparing Kenya with a country like India, yes, they do have 1 chief electoral officer and 2 other commissioners, but remember, it's a different system altogether. They follow the British system, where public servants are the ones who conduct elections throughout the country. It's not like it's the 3 who are managing elections. During elections, the government is run by the commission, and public servants run the election. So it's a different situation altogether. We need to look at our context, even as we discuss this issue, with an open mind and see what works for Kenya moving forward. All right.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, Lillian Mahira Zara, thank you very much for joining us. She's saying the doors are still open to CORD for consultations to avert or this boycott that they're talking about. We are discussing that on Checkpoint a little later on. In fact, right after the break, we have Gitile Naituli, who's the commissioner with NCIC, Ngunjiri Wambugu, and Edwin Sifuna. So, elections all over, the East African region. It's not just here.
Yeah, from October up until the
2017?
End of 2017. It's going to be very, very interesting 3 years for East Africa.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so keep your comments coming in on whether you support court's call to boycott the elections. That's our discussion a little later on. We will, of course, be asking the panel, particularly Edwin Sifuna, if he's pleased with Lillian Mahira Zara's calls to come back to the consultation table. All of that after the break. Stay with us.